हेलो मेरे दोस्तों बहनों भाइयों आप सुन रहे हैं फीवर एफएम एंड टुगेदर वीकेंड प्रोजेक्ट में वी आर टुडे टॉकिंग टू Kirandip Bhath and she is from the Hamara Centre, which is based here in Leeds, and they help people, especially our South Asian community, and of course, all the communities. Let me welcome Kiran to Fever FM. Hello, Kiran. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. You're welcome for giving us your time. Thank you very much indeed. Today we are going to be talking about domestic violence, abuse, domestic abuse, and all sorts of these things. Really, can you please explain to us what do you actually do?
Yeah, of course. So my role is I'm employed by Hamara, work for the NHS. So my role is I'm a patient ambassador. So we support in anything non-medical. So I'm based around Chapeltown, Hare Hills area, GP surgeries there. So we can support around social issues, housing, benefits, domestic abuse, mental health. It can absolutely vary. Anything non-medical we support in.
Oh, that's brilliant. So that's at Hamara Centre, which is obviously the main office is around Tempest Road in Beeston.
Yeah, so I'm based at the surgeries, but yeah, employed by Hamara Centre.
All right. So you work in various different sort of areas and, trying
That's
to help.
it, yeah. So I think it's around 12 surgeries. We go to every day different surgeries.
Oh, brilliant. Now then, simple question, really. This is domestic violence, domestic abuse. What is it? And, how does it affect, especially our South Asian communities? And is it just sort of, with the ladies who come to seek help with, from yourselves?
Absolutely not. It's male and females. It can absolutely vary. More so common with females, but it absolutely can happen to males as well. With domestic abuse, it is that pattern of abusive behaviour that the perpetrator to gain that power and control over the victim. And these can be in areas such as emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, forced marriage and or based abuse. And that is why it's very important for people to recognise what the signs are and absolutely where to go for support.
How widespread is it in our community?
So within our community, it is very widespread, but the issue is that it's still very, very hidden. And that's for, the victims to have that trust and faith to come forward. For example, in the areas that I work in, potentially there could be quite a lot of victims. But again, it's having that trust and faith in professionals, in GPs, in, the midwives, all health professionals, to have that trust and faith to come forward and actually speak to them. And I feel that one of the fears is within the community, they have that fear that somebody may know somebody and it back. But within these, statutory services, it's that confidentiality is absolutely paramount.
I would just, you mentioned trust and faith. Do the people look for trust and faith in the organization they're seeking help from, or is it within themselves? They, find that step difficult to take.
Yeah, I think it's both. I absolutely think it's both. With having that step to actually take to actually seek out for help is a massive step for that person in the first place. So it's actually for them having that trust and faith in themselves first of all to actually make that step.
Yeah. If you don't mind, people live normal lives, sitting at home, wherever they're doing all sorts, especially ladies are, from morning till late at night, they're doing all sorts of work, all sorts of things they're being told to do and all that. Where do how do you think that maybe this is a normal life, that's how everyone is. When do you find, what sort of signs, are there in particular to look out for that, no, this is not normal, this, you are being abused?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the issues is that acceptance that it is okay to be treated the way that they're treated, because friends and family and members of the community are also following these customs and following the way that it should be. But it absolutely, if it's a form of abuse, it's abuse, and they should not be treated like that. And it's making that step to come forward, and it's absolutely a scary step. Don't get me wrong, it's a very scary step. But the first step is seeking that support, seeing what's out there, and then making that decision, if they want to take it further.
Mm-hmm. And obviously they come to, people like yourselves, and you do all this in confidence without sort of publicizing anything like that, do you? You can assure that.
Absolutely. Everything is kept confidential. Within my previous role, I worked for Carmen Havana, supporting victims of forced marriage and honour-based abuse. Again, absolutely kept everything confidential. The advice was given to the victim, and then ultimately it is their choice to make that decision, what they actually want to do. But as long as they're aware that there is support out there, then it's up to them to make that next step if they choose to do so.
In your opinion, is there a lot of people still in the community who do not seek this help, and they keep on suffering and suffering? And how long does it take people to realize that there is something wrong? This is not normal.
It can vary. It all depends on, as I said, people can live in particular communities where it's become a norm in the custom to live this way. And it's maybe one thing, maybe a colleague, a professional, a friend, somebody reaching out and saying, the way that you're being treated is actually not right. How long it takes, it absolutely varies. You can support somebody on a one-time basis, and they think, actually, there is support there. I'm going to go and get that support and get myself into a safe situation. Not only them, if it's a woman, their children as well. Or it could take months of support for them to make that next step. So everybody is absolutely different.
Right. When do you realize, it isn't normal? I mean, obviously in our, South Asian communities, women's role is, okay, men is going to go to work, bring in the cash for whatever, you needs, paying the bills and all that. And a lot of our people, they do work long hours. And it's all left to the ladies to do all the housework, getting children up ready for school, making breakfast, cleaning up, and, obviously not holding any bank accounts and things like that. And, that becomes like a normal life to people, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And what you've just explained is absolutely fine. As in, if there was, a housewife, she's looking after the children, the husband's going out to work, she might not have access to a bank account. But if she's treated well by her husband, and if she says, could I have some money, he gives it straight away. She might not want access to the money. She loves being a housewife, and she's got a fantastic relationship with her husband. It's a 50-50 relationship, and they work well. That is perfect. It's when the other things come into place, where you might feel belittled, you're isolated from your friends and family, all these kind of things. There's control in place, you're monitored, your social media accounts are monitored, your GPS settings on your mobile phone, all these kind of things. You feel, if these kind of things go into the setting you just explained, it's abuse.
All right. So it must be very, very difficult, really, to realize, a lot of times you talk to, you obviously, we hear this in our community. Men are always claiming, this, that we love that lady, we love our family, we love our children, and they want complete control of that, in a sense. Say, oh, you can go here because, obviously, parda वगैरह होता है, और उसके बाद there's a lot of, they want them to be kept away from anybody's bad thoughts or bad thinking or bad looks and things like that. Is that abuse as well? Does it come under that?
Potentially, it can be a form of abuse, because what you've just shared is a form of control, where they're restricting that person from making their own choices. a woman should have the choice of what she wants to wear, where she wants to go, and have that freedom to express herself as a person. When them restrictions are put in place, it is a form of abuse.
Okay. And, you know, when people come to you, I mean, obviously, sometimes they hesitate going to the authorities, police, and whatever. So I think because of the long relationships, because of children involved in it as well. Is there any help available for the men? You know, do this? Can they be sort of? Is there a way they can be sort of taken away from the track? You know what they're doing. Is there any help available for them?
Very little. In regards to supporting the males, you mean, to get help? Very little. I mean,
they may not realize that they're being abusive or they're controlling and all that.
Yeah.
They may just think that we are just trying to build up a nice, happy family.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, potentially it's not something I've looked into, but there may be some sort of perpetrator programs that might be able to help, but not that I'm aware of, because from my background, my sole purpose in what I've done is supporting the victims. But in regards to male victims as well, there's also Mankind and also Carmen Havana as well support male victims. But when it comes to perpetrators, it is for them to identify that issue and going to the doctor and speak to them. For example, if it is, if they do feel they've got an anger management problem, they can speak to the doctor and get some support. If they feel that it's some sort of mental health and they need to go to counselling, again, they can go to the doctor and get that support. But any specific programs I'm not personally aware of.
Right. Okay. So let's hope there is some really, because some of the ladies, they stay back. They say, well, okay, they don't want to send their husband to prison or their boyfriend to a prison or take them to court and things like that. So if there was any help available.
Yeah. I think the other thing is for that person to recognise, first of all, that what they're doing is wrong, and for them to reach out. And as I said, I'm not aware of any services, but the doctor, a GP, would be the first point of call that I would suggest to go to, reach out for that support.